We're with Monopoly Man, actually Amanda Werner of Public Citizen, who you may have noticed at the Senate banking hearing was right over the shoulder of former Equifax CEO Richard Smith. Tell us why you decided to dress up and what's your beef with Equifax?
Sure. So I dressed up as the Monopoly Man today. Oh, that happened a lot in the hearing too. I dressed up as the Monopoly Man today to call attention to Equifax and Wells Fargo's use of forced arbitration as a get-out-of-jail-free card for their misdeeds. We have a get-out-of-jail-free card. It has Equifax and Wells Fargo's logo on it. It basically explains how forced arbitration allows companies to break the law and not have any consequence because consumers can't actually go to court. Instead, they have to go to a rigged system where the company hires the firm that decides their case. There's very little opportunity to appeal a case if they decide wrong, and you have barely a chance to present your evidence. Hello, Mr. Sloan. We wanted to give you this get-out-of-jail-free card. Oh, he doesn't want it. It's too bad. You might have to end up going to jail then, I suppose. Silly man. That was Senator Sherrod Brown. He's actually been a main opponent of forced arbitration, so we'll see if I can convince him otherwise. Here comes Senator Warren. Hello, Senator.
Hello.
I wanted to deliver this get-out-of-jail-free card for Wells Fargo.
She's the one who needs it. Give it to the Wells Fargo.
Oh, I tried. He ran away from me. So the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was empowered by the Dodd-Frank Act, which came right after the financial crisis, to restrict companies' use of forced arbitration. They issued a rule in July. It's been in the works for 5 years, and now the Senate is trying to repeal the rule and also ensure that the CFPB can never do another similar rule. So we're trying to call attention to the fact that this is happening and that this is a really terrible time to try to do something like this when you keep just hearing more news of corporate fraud. And Republicans are currently trying to repeal a federal protection that would stop companies like Wells Fargo and Equifax from using these clauses. So we want to make sure if he gets a get-out-of-jail-free card, so do other folks in this line. Would you like one? When Equifax breached 143 million Americans' information, they tried to sneak a forced arbitration clause in to ensure that we couldn't sue them for that breach. Anytime that you get cheated by a bank, lender, a credit bureau, in these kind of small dollar situations, you need to join together with other consumers to be able to actually get that money back. You get a letter in the mail asking you if you want to join a class action, you fill it out, get it back, you get a check. It's a very simple process, and it's really the best way we have to hold companies accountable when the fraud is so widespread. If you're instead forced into arbitration, you're going to end up dropping your case, because if you're suing them for $30, it costs you $200 to open up an arbitration, it makes no sense. Well, folks, would you like a get-out-of-jail-free card? Okay, you've already got it covered? All right, good lawyers? Good. Anyone, would you like a get-out-of-jail-free card? The Congressional Review Act that they're using to overturn it not only requires just 51 votes to pass, it also ensures that the agency can never pass similar protections ever again.
What's the origin of this Congressional Review Act?
It was passed in the 1990s under the Clinton administration. It had only been used once prior to this year. But with Trump in power and Republicans in Congress, they've been rolling back public protections left and right over a dozen times, which is really great for the billionaire class. We don't have to worry about anything we do.
I guess all they have to do to pitch it to Trump is say this was Obama's idea?
Oh, yes. And the great thing is, even though Trump himself seems to love to go to court, he really wants to keep us from doing it.
What's the score on the votes?
So all of the Democrats are very united against this. They all support the CFPB arbitration rule. Senator Lindsey Graham, is the only Republican who has come out publicly to say that he supports the rule as well. There are a few senators that say they're on the fence, but essentially it's very close. This really is a nail-biter. We need as many people telling senators not to take away our right to a day in court as possible.
Sorry, hold on. You weren't in line. You have to go back to your place.
Yeah, you've been floating in and out.
Okay,
You step out of line, you lose your place.
I'm with them.
She was
counted. She
I was just trying to get an early text.
all right.
What's the timetable? When will the vote be?
So they actually just tried to push a vote last week. We caught them trying to sneak a vote through right before these hearings, I think because they knew that when these CEOs came to testify, there would be some renewed outrage toward Wells Fargo and Equifax. They wanted to get through before then. Luckily, we were able to raise enough of an alarm that we staved off the vote last week. But essentially, the Republicans have until either the first or second week of November to do this. So they have about another month to try to push this through. So we're hoping that renewed public outrage and, renewed public attention with the Monopoly Man will help ensure that folks get outraged about this and keep them accountable for the next month.